What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So the Penguin aired its finale a few days ago, and I finally had a chance to sit down and watch it. So I'm going to be giving my spoiler-filled thoughts on the Penguin series as a whole, what I liked, the very minuscule that maybe I didn't really like. And before we get started, I just want to go off and say that this is going to be a spoiler-filled review. I'm going to be talking about all the details. So if you haven't seen the show yet, or you don't want it to be spoiled for you, then go watch the series, go watch the finale, whatever you need to do, and then come back and let's talk this show. And starting off with the positives, and trust me, there's a lot of positives to talk about with this show. I do want to talk about Colin Farrell's performance as the Penguin. I mean, we all knew he was great in the Batman. He gave a wonderful performance there. But here, I just feel like they strike a really perfect balance between showing us the human side of this character to where we understand his vulnerabilities, what makes him who he is, and how he got to the point that we know him in both the Batman and in this show. And in doing so, it makes us feel satisfied when at the end of the series as a whole, they show his rise to power. They show him basically becoming the king of Gotham, and you feel satisfied. There's payoff there, and it feels earned, and you're happy to see it. But at the same time, you're not happy in the same way that like you would if a hero saves the day, or the underdog defeats, the heavyweight champion of the world or something, just using an example here. You feel satisfied of his ultimate rise to power based off what you know, but you also want to see him be brought to justice. You also see this man do some really bad things in this show that make you really want to see payback and justice at times, even if you do relate to him, even if he is the as close to protagonist of the series as you can get. So Colin Farrell just does a really good job balancing these two sides of this character out, and honestly, I think he's going to win an award for this. I really do, and I think this show is going to win a bunch of awards. But going on, equally as great in her respective role is Kristen Milioti. I hope I'm saying that name right, as Sophia Falcone. Quick point of reference: she's the twin. Well, not twin, I guess. She's the sister of, or half sister. There we go, half sister of Catwoman, Selena Kyle, in the Batman universe. So, watching this show, they don't really reference Catwoman. There's like a letter that she gets at the end when she's in prison, and she opens it, and it's from Selena Kyle. I don't remember if we even know what it says or not. But I don't really touch on that, but her performance, Milioti's performance in the show is just so great, and it plays off well off Colin Farrell's in that you really understand, again, where Sophia Falcone is coming from. You understand that all her life she's been put down, that really everything that she's ever really wanted to stand for has been ripped away from her. She doesn't have a family that really respects or values her, but she also lives by a code. Like, there's a scene, and I forgot if it's the 4th or 5th episode, where we see her basically take out her entire family, but yet she stops with this little girl and takes the little girl, I can't remember if it's like her niece or whatever, to basically come and spend the night with her while everyone else is getting gassed in the house, because even she lives by this code, albeit a very low code, but a code nonetheless, of where she doesn't want to hurt children or people that seemingly don't blatantly deserve the harm that is going to be brought to them. So again, it's just a very good multifaceted performances on both their parts. And I gotta say, one of the standouts of the show, aside from those two, is Renzi Felice as Vic, the guy who, at the beginning of the series, the Penguin catches him and some friends doing something to his car, and so Vic kind of gets swept up in this journey with the Penguin, and he really brings out the humanity in Oz over the course of these 8 episodes. That's just really where you start to see the more human side of Oswald Cobblepot, and you begin to realize that their relationship is one of the strongest aspects of what makes these two tick. He even gives up his girlfriend, as we saw, and I believe it was the 3rd or 4th episode, somewhere around there, where he gives up the chance to just basically leave all this behind and go spend his life with his girlfriend. But he refuses because he really has kind of formed this almost apprentice, and it's hard to really say, but it's kind of, well, almost in a way like a father and son, except, your dad's part of the mafia or mob or whatever. But again, they just really bring out the humanity in one another and make both such relatable characters, and it's just, every time they were on screen together, I was just eating it up. I do want to say, and I'm just going to go ahead and say this now, the ending where Oswald ends up killing Victor, just chokes him to death right after, he basically says, hey, we're like friends and you mean so much to me. A lot of people I could see really being upset with that, but for me, I just think while I hate that Vic died, like, that absolutely sucked, because he's one of my favorite characters in the show, if you couldn't tell. However, the way that that comes about in the show, realizing the context of how he loves his mother, and because his love and vulnerability towards his mother is what got them in a lot of peril, really more or less kind of started a lot of the main plot lines and whatnot. So when you realize that, and you realize, even though, yes, he cares for Vic, and even tells him as he's choking him out, like, you're a good kid, and basically, like, I respect you for that, but you gotta go because I can't let myself become vulnerable to another human. So again, it's just really wonderful and really brilliant, and just a great way to, I think, albeit tragic way for sure, but great nonetheless way to end this show. And going forward, I do want to point out that this is a show that really forges its own path. It almost never references the Batman 2022 movie. There's some references here and there to some events that happen in that film, but it only refers to it when it's needed to further its own story. This is very much, I don't even think you would have to watch the Batman. In fact, I don't think you have to watch the Batman to really understand this film, what's going on, where the characters are at, what their journey and motivations are. This show does a great job of explaining it perfectly, and while obviously I love the Batman film, and I think you should watch it if you haven't already, I don't think that if the only thing keeping you from watching the Penguin is that you haven't seen the Batman, that it's really gonna tamper with your experience too much, you could say. And going ahead here, the show has a lot of deep and complex themes that really complement one another and lead to satisfying arcs for almost all the main characters. And they're really interwoven in a story in a way to where none of them really ever get lost by the end. And kind of going off what I said earlier about the killing of Vic at the end of this show, again, that's one of those things that I mentioned about how he can't let himself become vulnerable again, and he's learned his lesson with Oswald and his mother. So now he has to kill off Vic for the sake of, I have to just focus on my career, and I have to focus on basically becoming the king of Gotham. So it's just themes like that, and there's so much more here. I could spend probably the next hour or two talking about them all, of revenge, of betrayal, but, and just overall motivations of all these characters, and they just do such a great job of really giving you satisfying payoffs to all of those by the time you get to the end of the film, and they're just interwoven. It's kind of very similar to The Godfather. I really do think that this is like the Godfather of comic book shows, or really comic book stories in general, because it's like a Godfather level crime story. There's a lot of similarities. You even got the scene at the last episode where Oswald starts taking out everybody that's wronged him in the past, very Godfather style in nature. And yeah, so it's very deep, it's very philosophical, and it's also just a great mob story all around. There's also legitimately shocking plot twists. I mean, there's non-stop surprises, deaths, betrayal. Again, going on to Vic's death, that really threw me off guard, but it just works so well in the context of the story. And yeah, just overall, I really love this show. I mean, I'm trying to think here of any negatives that I have about it, like throughout the 8 episodes. I'd say maybe some episodes could have tightened the pacing up by like 5 or 10 minutes, but that's like my only complaint, really. I mean, Matt Reeves, he's created yet again another masterpiece for sure. It's a brilliant story, it's complex, it's riveting. The acting is phenomenal. It's not very action focused, but when there is action, it's really well shot and feels very cinematic in nature. So yeah, overall, if I had to give this a rating, I think I'm going to give The Penguin a 9.5 out of 10. It's almost a perfect show. Matt Reeves is 2-0 in this Batman universe, and I did like Batman Cape Crusader, not as much as other people, but considering how he had a part in that, I'm going to say it's going to go and be a 3-0 for Matt Reeves. I mean, he just understands the world of Gotham so well. He understands what makes these characters tick, and he finds a way to kind of reinvent the lore while also staying very true to the source material. So yeah, if nothing else, this is going to give you a lot of hype for the Batman Part 2 coming out in 2026. This just raised my hype even more so, and I was already stoked for it before. So yeah, that's all I got for today, guys. But let me know down in the comments down below what you thought about The Penguin. Have you seen it? Did you love it? Hate it? Let me know in the comments down below what you think, and please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share this video, and I will catch you all later. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. If you liked what you've seen here and you want to see more, please feel free to like, subscribe, share, and check out my other videos in the link in the description down below, and I will see you all later.